Hey, it's poppin', Pete. PurplePock here. This is PAX. Let's check it out. Yes, PAX has come and gone once again. And again, I had the fortune of heading there this year. I always look forward to it. It seriously is like my second Christmas. An ocean of nerds that love games and games ready to be loved by nerds. Naturally, I'm here to once again make a list of the best stuff I played and saw while I was there. And just like last time, I'm mainly focusing on the indie stuff. I could talk about how, say, Luigi's Mansion 3 is super fun and atmospheric with what looks like loads of creative locations in it, or how the Link's Awakening remake looks super charming and how it'll finally get me to play through a beloved classic I've been putting off for a long time, or how I can't wait to see how weird Death Stranding turns out to be with all the baby carrying and being on stuff, or how I don't care about Borderlands 3 at all. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here to highlight quality titles and hidden gems among the mountains of bland garbage. The first game I got my hands on was Time Travel Adventures from the creator of Katamari Damacy, made for the Playdate. Now what the hell is the Playdate? It's an upcoming handheld console from Panic, a 20 years young gaming company, who's also publishing Untitled Goose Game. And it's a small yellow handheld with a black and white screen and a crank on the side. Yes, a crank. And no, you don't power the console with it, it's an extension of the controls. Time Travel Adventures was the one game they had there, and really the only one they've shown off for the console so far. And it had you rewinding and speeding up time in order to dodge obstacles like butterflies and pigs, while you make your way to a series of dates. It's really simple, and the crank may seem like a gimmick, and really it is. But honestly, it's pretty fun and funny. It managed to challenge me a fair bit too. It may have sold me on the system, but only if other games that are just as good follow after it. Of the many quality games that were showcased in the PAX 10 this year, the one that really stood out to me was a math puzzle game called The Devil's Calculator. It's a simple little premise where the devil has possessed your calculator during an algebra test and erased your basic functions. Every level is a logic puzzle where you have to solve for 666. It's a clever, fun little time where you can feel great for getting it after minutes and minutes of hard work, or just brute force it if you really want to. Plus, it's free for mobile devices and non-profit on top of it. Definitely worth a shot. It seems like FMV games are doing really well this year, which isn't something you can say all that often, seeing how the standard for them is, I don't know, Night Trap. That is, if you're uncultured and haven't heard of Tex Murphy. But hey, we had the effectively tense Observation earlier this year on the Epic Store. The acclaimed successor to Her Story, Telling Lies, just came out, and it's got people raving about how good it is. And now we have another one with Not for Broadcast. It's a game where you start out as an editor for a small TV station, and it gradually becomes a dystopian society propaganda censorship simulator. I played the game for about 10 minutes, and they just kept throwing mechanics at me. But it never became too much. It was surprisingly engaging picking shots and watching two monitors at the same time. And the writing is cheeky and the voice acting is on point. I'm excited to see where this one goes. It's definitely better than Night Trap, that's for sure. Here's another game that's better than Night Trap. Got my hands on Shovel Knight Dig while I was there. Similar to how Super Meat Boy Forever is a new and different take on Super Meat Boy that still feels like Meat Boy, Shovel Knight Dig is very different from the original game, but it still feels authentically like Shovel Knight. Nitrome did a good job of making the controls and moveset feel familiar while still building new levels with a fresh design. Gameplay is really frantic and fast, collecting treasure is still really fun, and I really like the mold and fungus aesthetic theme they've showed off for Spore Knight. It's basically Shovel Knight meets Downwell, which, hey, that's good enough for me. Really worth keeping an eye on.
Is he?
Yeah, he is.
You are super early.
Oh, my bad.
Just Devolver being Devolver. Carrion is a horror game where you play as the monster. You slink around like a tangle of murderous spaghetti and eat people and rip them in half in ways that are maybe, just maybe, a little too satisfying to me. Movement is entertaining as hell by itself, the sprite art is great, the environments are really responsive to your actions, and it actually looks as though it'll open up with power-ups and more complicated gameplay as it goes along. all while being a thoroughly satisfying and wholesome murder spree.
And now for something completely different.
A Fold Apart is another puzzle game where you need to reconnect a couple in a long-distance relationship by folding and flipping the world like a piece of paper. It's super cute and really involving while being really simple mechanically, and it's just a wholesome concept that's easy to get behind. You can also pick from a variety of different options for the couple, making it accessible to as many people as possible. Not much else to say about this one, just a fun time that you can make as gay as you want. Speaking of fun and also gay, in the realm of story-driven games, there was of course Nirvana, the sequel to Valhalla, cyberpunk bartender action, which I am a huge fan. The demo mainly showed off how mixing drinks has changed a lot, and how there's now dozens of ingredients to make drinks freeform from, rather than just 5. The character dynamic is also very different, dealing with the new protagonist, Sam, who is much more open and upbeat than Jill was, and who may have an even more troubled past, all in a new location, dealing with new themes and characters. But it's still Sukaban delivering authentic dystopian waifu bartending. Very excited to play this. Tucked away in a small little town on the west side of the Story Gaming River, we find one Wooden Nickel, a game with the branchiest branching narrative of them all. You pick a newspaper article among several, then you play through and act out what happens in the article. Then the story changes along with the future newspaper article choices depending on your decisions. All with a minimal but charming art style. A simple, pleasantly written little yarn I'll have to look out for. Then there was Graveyard Keeper, a graveyard keeping simulator somewhat similar to Stardew Valley at first glance, which looks pretty neat, but unfortunately I didn't get to play because the line was very long all day and I couldn't fit it in. But regardless, it wins the award for Best Display at PAX this year because in order to play the game, you had to sit in a coffin. Which, you know, mood. Another game I didn't get to play, but really want to talk about anyway, is Going Under by Aggro Crab Studios. Again, unfortunately, I didn't get to play it, but I've been following this game's development for months, and it just looks so cool. It's a roguelite dungeon crawler brawler that takes place in a failing startup company. There's loads of weapons, it's funny as hell, I mean, this garbage can fire is a coffee pot, and look at Blockchain Chomp. He barks, invest. And the writing is, again, on point. Definitely keep your eye on this one. I'm getting it day 1. This year, I was looking for that one special game that just had all the style in it that would blow me away. In the past, I've seen games like Battle Chef Brigade, UFO 50, and 100-Foot Robot Golf, but this year, I just wasn't seeing anything that really impressed me. That was, until I saw Sayonara Wild Hearts. It's a combination rhythm game and endless runner with gorgeous neon pastel visuals, boppin' tunes, and more style than a cel-shaded hairstylist designed by Hirohiko Araki. It was extremely fun, it kept me on my toes with the constant shifts of gameplay and camera, and managed to bring to life the kind of visuals I see in my head when I've got my headphones in on the bus. Skateboarding, flying, motorcycles, tarot cards, street gangs, Game Boys, it's got it all. Buy this. Alright, it's time for the big game. The granddaddy, the big mama. Yes, it's both. The one I was most excited for. Shantae and the 7 Sirens. For those of you who don't know, I'm a huge fan of WayForward. More specifically though, I'm an enormous fan of the Shantae series. They're all just such well-made and unique platformers loaded with charm and personality. And the fact that she still isn't a household name after all the success the series has seen recently really grinds my gears. It's just a series of games that everybody should check out at some point. Gaming homework, I go so far as to say. And this new sequel, Shantae and the 7 Sirens, has my hype thrown into maximum overdrive. Okay, quick rundown as to why I love these games. Boom. Shantae won on the Game Boy Color. A somewhat aged but nonetheless fun and wildly inventive gem on the platform that pushes the system to its breaking point with graphics and sound. All the while introducing us to a new, lovable main character. Boom, Shantae Risky's Revenge. A shorter game due to budget restraints, but improved in nearly every way from the original from controls to moment-to-moment gameplay, and it adds so many staples to the series. Then you've got the Queen of the Roost. Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. Not just the best Shantae game, but one of my absolute favorite games, period. Controls tighter than a drum. Excellent comedy and character writing. Beautiful pixel art. High replayability and speedrunning optimization. Great characters, a banging soundtrack, and more fun packed into 6 hours than most games do in dozens more. Then you've got Shantae Half Genie Hero. A really good game, but for myself and many others, a step backwards from Pirate's Curse in terms of quality. Not much expansion for a sequel, relatively brief length, especially considering that the games had been about the same length for the entire time they've existed, and a linear level-based structure alongside a largely inconsequential story. There are reasons for this. It was kickstarted, and it was kind of limited by what they set goals for, but nonetheless, it left some people wanting more. Still, a net positive for the series, bringing it to HD gaming alongside a solid adventure with great hand-drawn art and a solid DLC lineup. But the fans have spoken, and most seem to want another, expanded, non-linear Metroidvania adventure. And WayForward has delivered. Shantae and the Seven Sirens feels like a response to every tiny complaint I might have ever made against the series. It's a story-driven, non-linear, lengthier adventure set in a new location for the series, with lots of new characters and transformations. Labyrinths are back, the little death pit skulls are back, a little touch I really love. The new transformation I got to try in the demo is fun and naturally flows with the gameplay in a way similar to the pirate tools from Pirate's Curse and the transformations from previous games. And the controls are snappier than frozen snow peas. Charming, fun as hell, and back to the standards of design from the best game in the franchise, I could not be happier with what I played at PAX. You should play the other games in the series just to get ready for this one. I'd go that far. This could honestly be my contender for Game of the Year. Now, we've heard about the best of the best. What's the worst of the worst? What was the worst game that I played at PAX? Oh, that's real easy. The food! I paid like $12 for 3 chicken strips and like a fistful of fries and a Coke. $12, 4 out of 10. PAX is a hell of a thing, isn't it? Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, why not give it a like or subscribe? Leave a comment below, tell me what you thought about it. Even if you hated it. Trust me, I want to know. If you liked this episode, you can check out the last one I did about Donut County by clicking on the title card in the top right of the screen right now. Or you can check out my recent reaction to the Nintendo Direct, or watch my Race the Ramen video on the Steven Universe movie. If you'd like to keep up to date on things I'm doing on this channel and other stuff, you can follow me on Twitter at PurplePocketPirate. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate it. This one took a little while. Sorry, I was sick. But thanks again for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.